This is my roughing pass with a carbide tool. 900 RPM, no oil. This is common 1018 cold rolled steel. I've got the vertical shear tool, and it's 1 or 2 thousandths depth of cut, 1,000th feed at about 900 RPM, no oil. I'm only going to go halfway across. Now let's not pretend that this is a scientific experiment that I'm doing here. This is just something I'm doing in my basement to try to clarify something. And this part here, from the red line outboard, was done with the vertical shear tool. But granted, that was only about 1,000th I was taking off, where I was taking off more over here with the carbide tool. But you can see that the finish is significantly better over here with the vertical shear tool. Again, that's 1018 cold rolled steel, which generally produces a terrible finish, as you know. Let's review now. This is the swarf from the vertical shear part of it. This is the swarf produced just by the standard carbide insert tool that I used. And here's the work again that I just finished. X with the vertical shear, unmarked carbide. You can really see the difference. And this was not filed. I did not use emery cloth. That's just as it came off of the lathe, right out of the chuck. I didn't do anything with it, in case you're thinking I cheated. And in quick review here, there's the tool. And remember, I can instantly sharpen it just by raising it or lowering it ever so slightly. Got a new edge, and when it does get dull, I can take it over to that belt sander and touch up that edge, that front edge that you saw me do earlier, and I could do that in literally 10 seconds and it would be sharp. Pretty interesting, isn't it? This is the noisiest lathe in the West. I wish I had a smooth Colchester like Keith Fenner has. This is 1-inch copper, and I'm going to take 10 thousandths off up to this point here. It's rougher than a cob right now. Copper is often troublesome, but I'm just going to take it down with the carbide, and then we'll compare it with the vertical shear. I won't show all of this. I'm very unsure of what the results will be with the vertical shear tool, whether it'll be better or not, because this is rougher than a cob now. I think you've turned commutators and you know what I mean by rough. You could actually cut yourself on that. So now I've installed the vertical shear tool. We'll go halfway across and compare the two. somewhat smoother so far. The camera angle is not good. Alright, I'm halfway across. The results here are actually remarkable. I'm amazed myself, and I haven't done this before. You know, all this is the tip-off of a big old soldering copper. So we don't know what alloy it is, but that's why it's kind of funky here on this end. I don't, that's all bent up, but who cares? Look at the finish here with the vertical shear tool, taking off just a thousandth, but here of course I'm taking off about 10 thousandths, but that is just as smooth as a hound's tooth. This is rougher than a cob, as I tell you that you almost feel like it's a file, like a rasp. And this would not need any further work as far as emery cloth or anything like that is concerned. I'm impressed. And remember, I told you that the vertical shear tool seems to excel on difficult materials, and copper's always difficult if you've ever done it. It's just so gummy. Let's take a look here at the swarf now. Traditional carbide tool, but admittedly I'm taking a deeper cut there, so these are going to be coarser, but again with a vertical shear tool it's shearing it off, and it's just as fine as can be, like angel hair. I'm impressed, and if you are impressed by this particular little part, give me a thumbs up just so I can have a laugh. That is pretty neat. My 14-year-old grandson Jordan has just joined me down here in the shop. Say hi, Jordan.
Hi.
Yep. Jordan and YouTube viewers, I interrupt this video to make a special announcement that in January of 2014, coming up soon...
2015.
Oh, make that 2015. I'm glad I got Jordan here to correct me, yeah. 2015, in a few months, I'm going to build an engine like this on screen, probably be about 10 parts. It's a little different than what I usually do because it has a spool valve. This is not a wobbler. So watch for that video in a few months, in the new year. Now back to the regular video. For my next trick, we're going to turn a little lead, which can be troublesome also. And you've seen me make these flywheels before, and I have them in several different sizes. And they are made of a lead alloy. It's type lead or wheel weights or something like that. It's not pure lead, but it can be troublesome. This has been turned, but this was a long time ago, so it's kind of tarnished. It'll quickly turn gray from its bright silvery color. But the problem I have with these is I'm holding them on a small mandrel, a 3/16 mandrel, and that is not very solid or rigid. And the second problem is that the spokes are made of lead, of course, too, and the whole thing tends to flex, and the spokes are allowing it to twist and so on the lathe, so I have to take a light cut. And the good thing about the vertical shear tool is it does not put a lot of pressure against the work, as you do, say, with a carbide tool. So let's step over to the closing where I already have one of these mounted on a 3/16 mandrel, and I have it supported on this other end by a little bearing to try to keep it from flexing and to be held securely and rigidly, even though it's really only about a 8-ounce piece, and that's about 3 1/4 inches in diameter. I'm over on the closing now, and the wheel is mounted on a little shaft in the chuck, supported by a little bearing here in this Jacob's drill chuck. There's the vertical shear tool. Now this may not clean up in the first pass because it never goes back into the chuck the same. So it may not clean up, but let's see what we got here. This is 600 RPM. And it's about a 2,000th feed. That's 2 thousandths per revolution. And I hope you can hear me. swarf coming off, just like angel hair. Still not sure if I got a full cleanup or if I'll have to take another pass. I got Jordan standing by my side here advising me.
We'll take another pass.
He says I'll have to take another pass. You know these teenagers, you can't tell them a thing. But he better be good. Christmas is coming soon. He put the tree up for me today. Alright, let's see what we got here. Well, there it is. Smooth as a hound's tooth. Just a little bit of waviness there, but overall I'm pretty satisfied with the finish. And again, look at the angel hair, the swarf. Almost like steel wool, or lead wool. Remember, they used to make lead wool. They used it in plumbing. I used to sell it at the hardware store by the pound. A little bit coarser than this, but that's kind of interesting. I know I'm going to get poisoned. There's the swarf. Alright, that concludes this video. I'm not going to try any other materials. I think that I have about beaten this subject to death. Hope you enjoyed this video. It took me all day to make this one. This was a long one. So thank you for watching. Continue to watch my other many videos that I have, and watch for that steam engine video. And have a happy holiday, and so long for now.